Hello everyone, hope you're doing well today. My name is Dan.
I'm Maria.
We are married.
And we're worship leaders.
And we've been leading worship together for over 10 years.
We want to bring people together to experience the love of Christ.
And we do that through a lot of different ways, through creating songs and music.
Through teachings.
And through leading worship and videos just like this. So we're doing something a little different. We're going to try to be, just kind of talk a little bit together and be a little more conversational and change it up a little bit, try something different. And hopefully you like it. If you don't, let us know. If you do, let us know. We'd love to hear from you. So today we want to talk about one of those issues that I feel like is not just about worship leading, but is about life in general.
Right, life in general.
But it does come up as a worship leader quite a bit. And nobody taught me how to deal with this when I was starting as worship leader. I kind of started, you know this, but I'll tell them. I started when I was like 22. I started leading worship, and it was one of those things where I was playing guitar. I'd played drums for a long time, and so one day the worship leader was going to be gone, and so I was leading worship for our youth service, and it was kind of, you already have a guitar, just go to town. Here you go, figure it out. And fortunately, I did eventually, even though there was a lot of rough things along the way. And one of the things that I dealt with is personality conflicts. How to deal with people that maybe you don't get along with, they don't get along with that day, or, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if we're being honest, there's going to be people that you don't get along with, or there's just going to be those personalities, and maybe you get along with them, but other band members don't get along with each other. And
that's a good point too. Yeah, people that both get along with you, but when they get together, it's a battle, and they're always coming to you and saying, "Can you tell them to stop doing,
I know something?" And so I think that some of the things that I really want to, touch on is one of the things is, I like to say, be loving. Make sure you're being loving, but also strict with your expectations. And I say that in the fact of there's just certain things that we expect in our band, and our practices, and our performances, whatever.
Sure. Well, I would say, and I think as a leader, I kind of equate it to being a parent. Not that you're your band's parents, because that's not what you want to be at all. But as an example of leadership, when you're a parent, when you have expectations and you hold your children to those expectations, I feel like that makes you a good parent. I think if you're a good leader, you have certain expectations and you hold people to those expectations. And that is the loving thing to do. Yeah. Where letting people kind of do whatever they want, I don't think in the end benefits them or you or the church or the team.
Because as we've said in previous videos, it's not about us. Yeah. It's about God, and we're all coming together to lead worship, to, bring people to worship. And so if we are having conflicts all the time, or we're just letting people act however they want, then, you're not having those higher expectations.
And both sides of that, where if we're either not willing to confront anything and everything just is whatever, everybody does whatever they want, or if we're flying off the handle at the slightest little thing, both of those things can create problems for sure. And you want to find a good balance in there. I definitely like the idea of, being loving, but with expectations. I think of times where people have maybe gotten angry or gotten upset and left the team and wanted to come back and kind of say, okay, cool, this is how we're going to go through that. So what I don't like is that idea of like, well, no, we don't like you, so you're not allowed back. Like that doesn't feel like the heart of God to me. But I think having things in place to say, okay, this is the path to getting back to where you want to be. I think that can be really important. So like you said, loving, but having some expectations there. I think one of the things that I've always been willing to do and found beneficial to do is asking a leader, asking my senior pastor how to deal with this, because they might know the person better than you do and have some insight.
Yeah, I think that because sometimes there are going to be personalities or things that come up that maybe you're not going to know how to handle, and it doesn't mean that you have to try to handle it yourself. I think going to someone who maybe has been mentoring you, a leader, or your senior pastor, and saying, hey, how do I deal with this? I don't know what to do. This has been a real struggle for me, or this is, personally, or I'm really seeing this conflict in my band. So what do I do? And then asking them for guidance, and then following that, and just knowing that, that God is giving them what should happen in that situation.
Giving them wisdom, and they're called to be the leader of that church, or be a leader in general. And they have wisdom from God too. I think sometimes issues like this are too big for us to handle. We need to kick them up to the next kind of level. And that's important to be willing to do.
And then the next level, of course, would be the highest would be, ask God. I mean, that's the truth. It seems so simple and seems so cliche, but I feel like you need to ask God, God, help me with this situation. How do I handle this situation? And God, help me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so simple, but God, just help me with this situation. And sometimes, we've seen in our own experiences where, God will kind of take care of that situation in his own way.
Yeah, sometimes it's a, God gives us wisdom in what to do, and sometimes God just fights the battle for us and says, you know what, I'm going to handle this. We had a situation once where there were some people going to be joining our team, and they were kind of sent over, and we weren't sure about them. We weren't sure if this was going to be a good fit, and we were concerned. There were some things that we'd heard. Rumors can be, I'm not saying believe rumors or anything like that, but we were like, oh, how do we handle this? What do we do? And we just prayed and said, God, help us know what to do. And those people never showed up.
Right. They just
never
never
showed up
came.
to practice, just never came, and God took care of it. And we didn't have to deal with that situation as much as just let God handle it. And He brought peace, and He brought just confidence into that. And that was a really good thing. So I think one of the things that's good is knowing your people. Some situations it's okay to send a text, and people are cool with that. Some people, we've had I know of a situation where it wasn't us, it was somebody else that we know, where a text message didn't go well, and it wasn't the right way to approach it. And just knowing how people handle things can be really important.
Yeah, you might have to call them, or it might be something where you have to do it in person, right?
Yeah, face to face.
Where you have to do it face to face. It's just how they are. Depends on the personality.
Yeah.
This is where knowing your people, knowing your team, knowing what their personalities are is really going to help you kind of be able to gauge how you should handle certain situations. And of course, depending on the level of situation, is going to determine how you should handle that.
Yeah.
If it's a very big situation, then I would say doing it in person is probably going to be better, and maybe having somebody else there, like your pastor, so that there's someone with you. But if it's something little, it might just be a text might be able to handle that situation.
I think one of the things that we did that I really like is we started meeting with people all the time, so that, because you get that text, hey, I'd like to get together with you, and you're like, oh no, what's happening now? Hey, the senior pastor and I would like to have coffee with you. You're like, what is going on, right? But if you are having getting together with your people all the time, maybe once a month, that's not an out of the norm situation. That can make it a little less tense, maybe make people a little less defensive, and that can be a really good thing.
That one-on-one is really good. It really opens up the communication.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So another thing that we like to say is don't ever make excuses for setting high standards. There's no reason for you to ever have to make an excuse for that. If someone doesn't like that, then, that's a situation to deal with, but don't ever regret it or apologize for setting high standards.
Or lower the standard in order to maybe include somebody that's complaining about the high standard. That's not going to be a good thing in the long run.
Maybe you have someone who's in your team or that wants to join the team, and they have a really strong personality, and, they're really trying to almost
take over.
Yeah. And you're like, what do I do? You know what? Don't settle. Don't lower your standards. Keep your standards high. Keep doing what you know that God's telling you to do, what you and your senior pastors have talked about, whatever it may be, so that it doesn't matter what they're saying in that moment.
This is what we do regardless of.
Yeah.
And sometimes that might mean some people aren't going to be a part of the team, and that's okay. That's all right. Not everybody needs to be a part of the team. That's not something that, it's not a universal thing. And maybe they're a great person, and maybe they're a great musician, but maybe it's just not the right fit. And that's all right. Sometimes it just doesn't work, and that's okay.
Setting boundaries. You have to have boundaries for yourself, for your team. And then, sometimes it's just not the season for that person. Maybe there's something they're going through personally, and it's just not the right season. And say, hey, just take this time to take care of, some stuff at home or whatever it may be. And then, maybe we'll look in the next season in you joining or whatever the situation is. I
think the last thing is to make sure of is that the conflict isn't coming from you. That if just kind of search yourself and be like, okay, am I being a little abrasive? Is my leadership style causing, people to be offended or people to be hurt or people to have a hard time? Am I setting an example? Maybe I'm complaining every Sunday. And then that kind of, because what the leader's like, the team's going to be like.
Right.
So as a leader, I think it's good to kind of have those moments of, self-reflection and just say, okay, where am I at? And don't be afraid to apologize. Don't be afraid to admit when you're wrong. Don't be afraid to say, you know what, guys, I've messed up here, and I'm sorry. I heard somebody this past Wednesday. I was at church, and they talked about when you apologize, it puts the standard back. So like if our standard is we don't complain, we don't whine, we don't have that negative attitude, and you have a negative attitude, that as a leader, that gives permission for your team to have a negative attitude. But if you apologize for it, it resets the standard, says, oh, no,
That's good.
this isn't right.
Yeah.
This isn't what we do. We aim for something higher, and that can be really good too. So
For sure.
yeah, hopefully this was good. This was helpful. If you're having a situation like this and maybe just want to ask a question or find out maybe what you should do, or we'd love to help if we can. Feel free to contact us on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or Twitter.
Yeah, reach
Wolford
out.
Music.
We have gone through a lot of different situations, and
Yeah.
so feel free to make sure you comment, like, subscribe. Just let us know what you're feeling, what you're thinking.
For sure. We'll see you next time.
Bye.